Oops, sorry. Ding.
Hi guys, I wanted to read this quote to you before I started today, because somebody sent this to me about a week ago, and I've forwarded it to a few people, and I've gotten a lot of feedback that this quote has affected people. So for a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. So
You can take that out if you want to walk
in my
around.
accountability group today, I was really challenging my group. I thought they were getting kind of fluffy with their goals a little bit today. Really challenging them to take it a step deeper. That today you're sitting in a room full of 100 people, 100 powerful women, strong women who want to change their lives, and so you want to lose 5 pounds, or you want to do this. What's really going to take it to that next level? So I was challenging my group to look at their goals, and some of them came up with some really good ones, but some of the other ones, I challenged them to take it even one step deeper. What's really going to change something for you today? What are you going to do today that's going to make a difference for your life a year from now? And not just to pick something just because everybody else at the table would want to hear that, So I'll push that to you guys as well. So today my speech is about, Shondell called me and said, could you do a speech on being fearless? And I said, I think I can. And so I went back and I was talking to my business partner about being fearless. And I said, do you think I'm fearless? And he said, of course, everybody thinks you're fearless. Look what you've done in your 35 years of living. I'm like, yeah, but I'm scared all the time. And then he said, that should be the title of your presentation. I'm fearless because I've been afraid. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So as an entrepreneur, and actually I heard one of the other entrepreneurs on the stage talk about it too, they say when we've done something like what we've done in our career, turning a failing entity like I did into a $5 billion institution. I have the Midas touch, right? Everybody wants me to be a part of their business. They want me to be a part of their lives. They want me to be their best friend. They want me to be their mentor. They think, I touch things and it turns to gold. So I've also seen as an attorney where entrepreneurs would sell their businesses for a lot of money and then turn around and lose every dime of it. Every dime. Including one of my own personal friends, sold his business for $14 million. 1 year to the day, his Bentley was being repossessed and he was filing bankruptcy. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be that person. And so I've been talking about, is it time to sell the company or beyond that path to sell the company? And what would I do? Do I have this real Midas touch or is it fake? Was I just lucky? So along come the Jabberwockies. And they asked me to speak to them. And if you don't know who the Jabberwockies are, they won America's Best Dance Crew back in 2008. And they are the most successful dance crew in the entire world. They're the only ones that have taken it to a $10 million level. And they come asked me to speak to them about business. So I did. And we had a great session. And then they chased me down and pretty much asked me 9, 10, 12, maybe I think we even got to the 20 times if I would come and run their companies. I have a company. I can't really do that, and I told them no 20 times until finally they wore me down enough, and they're nice enough guys that you can't say no to these guys. And I said I would consult. That's what I would do. I would consult. And I thought this would be a really good test for the Midas touch, right? Do I have it? And what's the worst thing that could happen? I guess I could crash their companies. That would be bad. But I started as a consultant, and then it was very clear that it was a full-time job within 2 weeks of doing work. And so I am now balancing my own company and its growth with growing another multi-million-dollar institution that has a completely different dynamic. So my company is a financial service company. That's what I do. I have 50 employees. And then I run an entertainment company with 50 employees and a totally different dynamic. We have lots of females in Provident. We have lots of males in Jabberwockies. We don't sell anything alike. So this was a real test of whether I would have that Midas touch. So there was a lot of fear. And my biggest fear would be that I would fail, that I would walk in there, I really didn't have it. And I've been having this journey for the past 2 years since I won that Fortune Award, almost feeling undeserving of it. That if I can't go and redo this for another company, then I'm not really truly a powerful entrepreneur. And so I have these discussions privately with myself in the bathroom. And I decided to become public with it a little bit. And I disclosed to them, I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I was just lucky. And at the end of the day, I've turned their companies around. In less than 4 months, we're up $1 million in revenue. We've cut hundreds of thousands of dollars in expenses. I've hired lots of really great people and recruited them away from groups like Blue Man Group and et cetera to come run our show. And at the end of the day, what I know I'm good at is building a business and running teams. So I know I have a little bit of a touch on that thing. What I know that I'm not good at is working for people. So I now have 7 bosses, and I thought I'd be okay with that. I realize when I have to answer to 7 different people, I go home feeling really challenged when I'm not the ultimate boss. So I've learned that maybe my next step in life does not require me to have a boss. So that would be good. The next thing that I learned about myself was during this entire process too, is that I was fearful, and I was asking my partner, well, why do you think that I was willing to take that fear, or I'm able to take that fear and turn it into something like this? How come I can do this and other people are not able to? And he is an amazing, he's an attorney, so he articulated it really well. So I stole all of his ideas, and this is my presentation. So 5 strategies for managing fear. This is something that I've had to work on. Be mindful of your thoughts. Own your own experience. So growing up, this is, I always feel like the way I have the most impact on people is to be 100% raw. And one of those things to be 100% raw is I grew up in an Asian household, and if any of you guys have an Asian mom, my mom was Tiger Mom on steroids. So there was a lot of physical abuse and a lot of emotional abuse and all of those things. You have to be the best. You have to not just make an A and A+. It can't be a 99. It has to be 100. You know, why aren't you teaching your brothers and sisters how to do everything? And I could have grown up thinking I sucked, because I was told quite often that I wasn't very smart. I wasn't very good, I was dumb, all of those things. And my mom, to be honest, coming from that culture, she really thought that's what she was doing to make me a better person. Now, I have 5 brothers and sisters. Some of my brothers and sisters have a hard time overcoming those things that my mom said, and they've struggled. And then there are some of us that have taken that. We've all have a college degree. Every single one of us graduated with a minimum of a bachelor's degree, which is pretty amazing with 6 children. I'm the only one that's taken it to this level of success. And when we all sit down around a dinner table and we talk about it, this is what it is. Because when my mom would say, "You're not smart enough," I would go back into the bedroom, I kid you not, and go into the closet and tell her, I would be saying to myself, "I'm going to show you. I'm going to show up one day. I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and then you're going to see I'm really smart." And so I wouldn't let my mom control the way that I thought about myself. And this is the thing that probably aggravates me the most about some of my staff, is that they play the victim. So-and-so didn't do their job. So-and-so didn't come to work today. So-and-so's blah, blah, blah. My husband didn't do this. My kids didn't do this. But they take no personal responsibility for their own actions or what they could do about it. So if all the rest of the world, if everything's burning down, what are you going to do about it? And I find that most people, they struggle with this, that they're not mindful of their own thoughts and they don't take responsibility for their own situation. You don't have to be in an abusive relationship. You don't have to be in a job that you hate. You don't have to work for an asshole, right? You don't have to. These are all your choices. Every day is a choice for you to walk into that place and choose to work for that person. I was listening to a lady across the table from me say that if she was going to be fearless, she was going to walk into her boss's office and tell them that she needed a flexible schedule and that she was going to do that.
Yeah.
Because she said, I'm a pretty amazing employee. And you know what I do as a boss? If I had someone like that walk into my office and say, I really need a flexible schedule, here's how I would do it. You're an amazing employee. That's really easy. That is an easy conversation to have with your boss. Now tell them how you're going to make it flexible and still make it work for them. That's how you own your own experience. You want a flexible schedule, you tell them how it becomes flexible, but it still works for the company. And you're going to get it because you're awesome, right?
Yeah.
But if you really are a sucky employee and you're not telling yourself that, you're not going to get that flexible schedule. So, okay, the next thing, and this is, I think I have a screw loose in my brain on this one. And this is, my partner laughs at me about this because it's seriously, if I see a hole in the stage, I would already imagine myself falling through the hole and actually like maybe breaking my leg. And since I was a little girl, I've always had this weird thing in my brain that goes to worst case scenario. But my partner says this is my superpower, and I'll tell you why this is my superpower in just a minute, but he says this is my superpower. I can imagine worst case scenario in almost everything that I do, and if I can live with it, it's the worst thing that can happen, right? So it's really easy to overcome things that I'm fearful about when I know what the worst thing that can happen, and I know I can live with that. I was telling somebody as I'm walking through the lunch line, I had a little 23-year-old girl that works for my company. And she came into me the other day and she said, I got an offer to teach in Japan. And I said, are you going to take it? And she goes, no, you'd fire me. And I said, did you ask? She said, no. So she asked. And not only did we give her a scholarship to go and do the teaching apprenticeship in Japan, but I asked her, what's the worst thing that could happen? You lose your job as the mail girl at Provident? Okay. What's the other worst thing that can happen? You run out of money and have to live with your parents? Okay. What else? You have to eat ramen noodles? You're 23. You're going to be just fine. And once we went through all the worst case scenarios, she looked right at me and said, you're right. And I'm going to do this. And what's funny is half of the worst case scenario things, they're not going to happen. I didn't fire her. She's going to have a job when she gets back. She doesn't have to live with her parents. We gave her a little bit of money, so she's not going to be eating ramen noodles, so she's pretty fine. You know? So if you can live with the worst thing that can happen to you, it's probably not that scary.
Right.
So the third thing he said was embracing, I call it an attitude of gratitude. He said an attitude of abundance. This took me a long time, guys, so don't think that this happened for me overnight. I had to get really comfortable that the person that was staring across from me in the mirror was enough. I am good enough, I'm okay, all of those things. I am enough. And then I got my business to a place, even though, you know, we did get to a place where we're making millions, but I had to get myself to a place that what would be the minimum I could live off of and still be okay. Because what I saw my friends do was make millions and millions and millions of dollars and spend millions and millions and millions of dollars. And then they were always borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. And I said I would never put myself in that position. So I decided what's the worst thing that could happen to me is that I could lose my job and I'd have to be a lawyer. That's a really bad situation if I have to do that. And I figured, as my experience, 10 years of being a tax attorney, I'm in a niche field, I can make $150,000 a year. So that's why I pay myself. And I actually never take home more than that. Every bit of money that I make inside my companies, even on my consulting gigs, I put inside a bank account and I save it for a rainy day. One of those rainy days was a company coming along, needed an investment, $1 million investment, and my partner and I were actually proud enough to be able to write $500,000 checks each to do that investment. And who knows, it might be we believe that we're building the next E-Trade for alternative investments. So I couldn't have done that had I not had an attitude of gratitude about where I was at, had I not been okay with the situation I put myself in. And had I not thought that if I had an attitude of abundance, you can't be fearful when you have things kind of socked away, when you have that rainy day plan. It's a lot easier to believe that it can happen as long as you have a backup plan. And what I see most people today, they have a lot of credit card debt, a lot of things that they put themselves in a situation where you can't live with an attitude of abundance because you're always trying to get that next nut, right? You're the squirrel going after the nut. So try to put yourself in a situation where you're not chasing that anymore. The other part is staying true to your intrinsic motivations. So in these particular situations, and women, we are the worst people to do this. When I myself am like this, as well as a lot of women that I know. You let other people define who you are. And it's a lot easier to be fearless if you're not worried about what everybody else thinks about you. So I know that's easier said than done. I still worry about what people think about me, but I worry more about what people think about me in regards to whether I'm doing the right thing, if I'm being a good human being. If I'm being a good human being, whether the person to my left thinks I'm an absolute idiot for investing $500,000 into a startup project in San Francisco, I don't really care. But if I treat my fellow woman or man good, if I am nice to people and kind, if I'm good to my employees, if I do the right thing, that's the stuff I really care about, what other people think about me. I don't really care about the other stuff. And I was given a speech at a college 2 weeks ago, and I had a little girl stand up, and she said, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I have this party trick I can do where I do this lifeline with people, and I can destroy their dreams in less than 2 minutes. But I asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, and she put a doctor. And I said, what are you studying now? And she said, chemistry, and we're going through it. And at the end of it, and this is why I say I can destroy lives in less than 2 minutes, we figured out the little girl didn't want to be a doctor. We figured out that she was majoring in this because she believed this is what her parents wanted her to be. And then we also figured out in that 10 minutes that we were doing this exercise with her that her real motivation had to do with creativity and marketing and all of these things, and trying to get her to realize that she is going to be the one that has to get up and do that job for the next 80 years of her life and not her mom and dad. And that she was doing it for all the wrong reasons. So I think it's really important for people to stay true to really what intrinsically motivates you. And are you in something, are you passionate? You know, entrepreneurs, why can we make a lot of money in what we're doing? Because we're passionate about it. You can do that as well. I call them intrapreneurs. I have intrapreneurs that work for me. I have people who are passionate about the dream I'm trying to create. They would never take enough risks to eat ramen noodles. I think someone on the stage actually said that. They would never eat a ramen noodle. I'll eat a ramen noodle, but they will support my dream and help me get to the finish line. And I will pay them while doing it. And then this is my last lesson to leave with you guys. The one reason that I see people fail and continue to fail over and over and over again is that you are not a student of the process and you're not willing to learn. There is always someone better, smarter, more awesome at it than you are, always. And you might actually be that person that's better, smarter, more awesome at it, and people should learn from you. But we are all in a place to learn from each other. And where I see the most failure occur is where somebody believes they have it all figured out all the time. And unfortunately, with my generation wires, and I don't even know what that Z generation is called, but I don't even know what this new generation is, but my 18 to 20-year-old category in my company, they believe they've got it all figured out. They believe when I step on, I'm 18 years old, I just graduated high school, and by the way, I want to get paid $22 an hour. Oh, really? You know? I had an employee come in the other day and said, he's been working for me for 4 months, guys. He got an econ degree. He he slides his diploma across the table to me, and he said, I Googled it, and econ majors make $50,000 a year. I was like, oh, you Googled it. So, okay. So you want me to pay you $50,000 a year? Because you have a degree and you Googled that? That's the reason I should give up value to you. Yes. So let's talk about supply and demand, Mr. Econ major. So we had a little schooling there. This is actually a really fun story with him, though. I actually fired him 2 weeks later because his attitude got so bad. And 4 weeks later, I knew that he would have tried to find a job over those 4 weeks. I knew he was a good kid. And I knew he was just a little messed up in the head and just needed a reset. So I gave him 4 weeks to try to find a job. During that time, he never found one that would pay him over $20,000 a year. I called him up in 4 weeks and asked him if he wanted to come back to work. He reset, come back into the company, and now he's one of my best employees.
Yeah.
So you have to be a student of learning. Now, I do think that my partner, this is where being good people, recognizing that sometimes people are good people in a bad place. And recognizing that sometimes we just need to reset and relearn habits. And sometimes it takes someone like myself or other mentors out there giving you those hard lessons in life, asking those hard questions to be able to get to a place where you can really see what is really out there for you. So always being a student of the process is really important. So that was my speech.
Yeah, thank you.